Good evening. I call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Norman Public Schools Board of Education to order. Ms. Sasser, will you please call the roll?
Dirk O'Hara.
Here.
Dan Snow.
Here.
Cindy Nashert.
Here.
Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We've got an awards presentation. So, Mr. O'Hara, let us celebrate.
Mr. O'Hara, members of the Boards of Education, Dr. Millerino, I want to, on behalf of the Athletic Department, would like to say thank you for allowing this time for us to recognize our student athletes, individuals and teams who had amazing accomplishments this fall. Before doing that, I also want to say thank you to each one of you for the opportunity for our kids to have that. This year, more than ever, the word opportunity takes new meaning, and on behalf of our athletic department from the district side of it, as well as each site, we say thank you for allowing us that chance. Before we get into our individual and team recognitions, I would like to recognize a few more groups. The first group is our student athletes, obviously to congratulate them on a job well done for their accomplishments, but I'd also like to tell them thank you as well for believing and trusting in us as far as a district and as an athletic department in order to have a fall sports season this past fall. Through all the cancellations, the reschedules, the postponements, we found a way to do that, and we appreciate their cooperation as well, and the parents. I'm a firm believer whenever you have a team or an individual that has success, there is two common core components that allow for that to happen. Obviously, that individual has to be very athletic and have some gifts on that side of it, but I also believe they need parents or a strong support base to be able to assist them in their growth as they get to this stage. And so therefore, thank you to all of those support groups, the foundation that they set with our student athletes. They've played an important role in that, the parents, the grandparents, and allowing these individuals and these teams to be successful. The second group is our coaches. This year more than ever, the time that they have spent, the time they take away from their family, their own personal interest as far as that part goes, to spend with our student athletes and not only develop them in an athletic spectrum, but just as important, if not more importantly, developing them in the overall, as far as the overall human being. And so I want to tell them, our coaches, thank you. And one of my favorite sayings is a coach will impact more people in 1 year than the average person will in a lifetime, and I firmly believe that we have those type of individuals in our district that have that positive impact. I do think it's important on our fall sports summary in regards to not every team obviously was a state champion, a state runner-up. Not every individual was an all-stater, but we had a lot of different accomplishments throughout the fall that I feel like are noteworthy. We had 47 Central Oklahoma Athletic Conference selections. We had 22 all-district selections, 4 daily Oklahoman all-city selections. We had 9 individuals that were selected as all-state. We had the 2020 Central Oklahoma Athletic Conference and District Football Coach of the Year in Justin Jones at Norman North High School, the 2020 District Softball Coach of the Year in Trey Palico from Norman North High School, 2 team regional championships, 1 team state runner-up, and 5 team state championships. So despite all the hurdles and obstacles, it was very productive fall sports season, to say the least. So congratulations to these individuals that were a part of that. As we move on to our state champions, state runner-up, and all-state selections, we'll begin with Norman North High School, and we'd like to start with the Norman North High School Pom team. Head coach Liz Smith, assistant coach Riley Minzy. We had a Norman North Pom team that was selected as the 2020-2021 Class 6A Mixed Dance State Champions. Team members include Isabella Arrowwood, Lauren Bell, Maddie Clark, Haley Koshell, Carson Coggins, KK Davis, CC Dragg, Caden Duncan, Lauren Edmonds, Avery Eshelman, Morgan Farrell, Haley Franklin, Jenny Jackson, Grace Coop, Addie Mack, Amy Ringer, Avery Robertson, Isabel Tinsley, Kayla Watkins, and Ava Wheeler. Congratulations to those individuals that were part of that state championship team. Our next state championship team is also from Norman North Palm Squad, And those individuals were a part of the 2020-2021 Class 6A Senior Large Ensemble State Champions. Those individual members are Isabella Arrowwood, Lauren Bell, Haley Koschel, Carson Coggins, Caden Duncan, Avery Eshelman, Addie Mack, and Avery Robinson. Congratulations to that group as well. Continuing with Norman North Palm, we also had another state champion. This time it was the 2020-2021 Class 6A Intermediate Large Ensemble State Championship. Members of that squad include Allie Clemens, CC Dragg, Haley Franklin, JC Jackson, Jenny Jackson, and Isabel Tinsley. Congratulations to that group as well. Our next group from Norman North Palm is the 2020-2021 JV Jazz State Champions. Members of that squad include Aubrey Castillo, Allie Clemens, Lily Geist, Ravanna Galozzi, Bella Grogan, Bailey Harrison, J.C. Jackson, Lainey Kite, Lauren Knight, Bella Sanders, Alyssa Sarate, Sheridan Sharir, Briley Thompson, J.C. Tippins, Anna Urshri, and Chloe Valee. Congratulations to that group as well. Our next group we would like to recognize is our all-state selections from Norman North Palm. We have two of those individuals, 2020-2021 all-state selection Lauren Bell and 2020-2021 all-state selection Lauren Edmonds. Congratulations to those ladies. Our next team that we will recognize tonight is our Norman North girls cross-country team, head coach Jonathan Kaczynski and assistant coach Bree Jansing. They were the 2020-2021 Class 6A girls state runner-up. Members of that team include Jade Robinson, Kinley Kite, Olivia Van Hootigem, Ella Camp, Devin Jansing, Stevie Johnson, and Peyton Fox. Congratulations to those members of that team as well. From Norman North girls cross country, we have two all-state selections, 2020-2021 all-state selection Kinley Kite and 2020-2021 all-state selection Jade Robinson. Congratulations to those ladies. Our next group from Norman North High School is our Norman North football team, head coach Justin Jones. We have two all-state selections, 2020-2021 all-state Walter Youngbear, 2020-2021 all-state selection Pierce Hassan. Congratulations to those two gentlemen on a job well done. Moving over to Norman High School, we will start with our Norman High Palm team, head coach Casey Sewell, assistant coach Valerie Terry. Their team was named the 2020-2021 Class 6A Jazz State Champion. Members of that team include Izzy Otis, Brooke Broderson, Lainey Billingsley, Maddie Launer, Sydney Pierce, Shyla Santos, Kennedy Weiss, Ashley Wooden, Emily Easley Williams, Eden Green, Riley Jackson, Cadence King, Madeline Rinke, Sage Mills, Mabry Harrison, and Sutton Willis. Congratulations to those individuals. Sticking with the Norman High Palm team and head coach Casey Sewell, they had one individual that was selected to the 2020-2021 All-State team. That individual is Izzy Otis, so congratulations to Izzy. Our next team is the Norman High School football team, head coach Rocky Martin. 2020-2021 All-State selections, Micah Bevins. Congratulations to Micah. And then last but certainly not least, Norman High School fast pitch softball, head coach Zach Swart. 2020-2021 All-State selection, Kaylee Lyon. In closing, once again, congratulations to those individuals, those athletes for a special year. And again, we want to thank each of you for the opportunity for us to have that season. As I mentioned earlier, now more than ever, that opportunity means something special. So thank you, guys.
And TD, while you're still up there, you know, I can't wait till the day that we're able to have them all back in here, and hopefully with everything that's going on in the community, vaccinations, at some point in the near future we're able to do that. I know you wish the same thing, because there's nothing greater than having all these students, whether it's student athletes or any awards, come up to the front, shake hands, get pictures taken. And that is a piece that is missing from everything we're doing, and we understand that and recognize that. But I appreciate you acknowledging and being here and acknowledging all these athletes. So I want to say congratulations to all the athletes, personally, for myself and for the board, but also to all the coaches that played a huge part in their success in their lives, and also not to forget all the parents that support each and every one of these student athletes, because it is a community effort. It takes a village in everything we do. So I want to thank all of those people who have played a part in these students' success. So that, and then I don't want to leave you out of this. I want to thank you. You mentioned at the beginning, us working together and just having the opportunity to participate in these events, and a lot of that is because of you and the work you've done and the precedent you have set when it comes to safety and protocols, and working on a state level to make sure the OSSAA and all the other schools that we participate with are following the same rules and not backing down in the face of some adverse situations. So I want to thank you for all of that and your leadership with the coaching staff of what our expectations are, so that our students can participate and be acknowledged for these awards. So to you, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any public communications? Seeing none?
I would move that we dispose of the routine business by consent, including the purchase orders and everything else as listed.
Second?
Any discussion? Ms. Sasser?
Dirk O'Hara?
Yes.
Dan Snell?
Yes.
Cindy Nasser?
Yes.
Brad Rice?
Yes.
Linda Sexton?
Thank you. Ms. Burkett?
Good evening. I am here to present to you the state aid analysis from the midterm state aid allocation notice that our district received a couple of weeks ago. I will remind the board that the State Department allocates and provides the first notice of state aid in July, and then they revise that state aid allocation across the state based on the first 9 weeks information that comes in from all the districts across the state. They're looking at changes in enrollment with midterm adjustment, and they're looking at assessed valuation, which is a big piece of most districts' chargeables. So I'm going to step you through this evening what our state aid analysis, what our midterm adjustment ended up looking like. There's 3 major components to the formula. The state aid factor, how much they're paying us on a per student basis, the weighted average daily membership, and then the chargeables, which is a takeaway from our state aid formula. So the first slide that I'm showing you is a slide on the state aid factors, how much we're receiving on a per student basis, and you'll see that with our January notice, the factors dropped $86.34. We were paid initially this year at $3,467, and that amount dropped to $3,380. This $86 is on the backs of a $114 per student drop that we experienced in July. So in total, our state aid, how much we're all receiving on a per student basis, has dropped approximately $200 compared to last year. The next slide is talking about the details of our weighted average daily membership. And we've talked a lot about the fact that our district lost in our child count and our student count this school year. If you look at the very beginning, our July weighted average daily membership was based on last year's full year raw ADM, and that figure was 16,194.90. This first 9 weeks enrollment for our district, actually it was the October 1st count, we were at 14,374. So that's the largest difference in these 2 groupings of weighted average daily membership, was just that student count itself was down over 1,800. The grade weights dropped some because of that reduction in enrollment. And actually, the different weighted categories, you can see there what the reductions were in each one of those, whether it be grade weight, special ed, gifted, bilingual, or economically disadvantaged. If you see the July total weighted ADM based off of last year was 26,793. This new child count for our first 9 weeks totaled 23,817. We are allowed to be paid on the higher of the 2 preceding years or the first 9 weeks if a district is growing in enrollment. So you can see by this slide that if we went with the first 9 weeks number, our district would actually be down almost 3,000 in our weighted average daily membership. But the formula gives you the advantage of using that higher count. And so my note is there that our state aid January notice is going to use that higher count of that 26,793.
Could I interrupt to ask you to explain ghost students and why that's not so important?
I will try to do that. Because of the higher of the, basically, a lot of times we hear the higher of the 3 because it's 2 years in the first 9 weeks. I know Governor Stitt spoke to his concern about ghost students. The concept is that a district is receiving money for students that are no longer with them and could be with somebody else. You know, there's a variety, either kids just drop out completely, they move districts, whatever the case might be. So that is what we've been hearing in the news in the recent couple of weeks about ghost students. My own personal opinion of that is I do think that our districts have been able to benefit from the timing that it takes when you're losing enrollment to adjust your staffing, to adjust the services that you've got. So I'm in favor, personally, of allowing that higher child count to be used, but we will
Right.
see, how that shakes out.
My effort to explain it to other people who knew less even than I is that there are no ghost teachers, and this allows us to employ the teachers, and we will always have some attrition through retirement or whatever, so that we can, it makes it a smoother process, there's no question.
Yeah, and Dr. Snell, I think you nailed it in that, we have that higher 2 years so we can plan. We're planning right now for next school year. We're looking at next year's enrollment, and unless we have some kind of a surety of where we are financially, obviously it changes, you can see that, but we have to plan forward. Otherwise, you get into a situation where you have to look at staffing and let people go, because between 91 and 93% annually is what we spend on staffing. That's our cost of our budget, is 91 to 93%. So that is significant. We have to be able to plan forward. I think the bigger question is, and in addressing that, is not how the formula is set up, but actually fully funding the formula. That's where we need to get to. But in the end, you're spot on of we have to plan forward. It is about staffing. It is about serving those students that we anticipate having that next year.
Correct. The third component of the formula is the term used for these categories of revenues that a district receives in the prior year. They are considered these dollars are considered a takeaway or a charge against our state aid funds that are coming to us based on the enrollment and the factor. Dirk, you had asked me one of the last times I presented on this, kind of to add a little bit of explanation, and I did that. When we received our state aid notice in July, it was based on last year's revenue, which was FY20 revenue. Those are the categories of revenues, the categories and the revenues we received last year. So our chargeable in July was $44.8 million, but we didn't know yet what our assessed valuation was in July, and no district does. So what happens in January is you still use the revenue from last year, but the ad valorem is based off current year, and in this case, FY21. So what you see here is a very large increase in our district's ad valorem revenue expected to be received this year. We went from 34.8 last year to an expected 36.4 million this year. That's an increase in local ad valorem of about 1.6 million. We will continue to monitor collections as they come in, but this local revenue is considered and certainly in Norman's case, it's the largest component of the chargeable, and we're accustomed to seeing our valuation grow every year. We really had a much larger growth in our assessed valuation this year than we have in the last couple of years, because we had the University North Park TIF that was settled and paid for last summer, and that valuation went on to the assessed valuation rolls for our county. So we had a large increase in our ad valorem this year, just over 1.6 million. There was a slight adjustment to county formula, but you can see the other categories are the same. So bottom line for this slide is that our local growth, our local chargeable, is going to be shown as an increase to our chargeable for this January notice. So I'll put all that together and see what it looks like. We talked about the factors dropped, $86.34. Our weighted ADM is flat because we're still using the higher weighted ADM for last year, so there's no change there. But that drop in factors, just based on that and that weighted ADM, that alone would be a reduction in our state aid formula of 2.3 million. We have an adjustment on our transportation aid, a decrease down of 130,000, and then that chargeable amount that we talked about, the 1.6 increase in chargeables, is a takeaway from our formula. So that shows that our January allocation notice for this year is down just over 4 million from the notice that we received in July. In July, we were expecting 48.5 million. Now we're expecting 44.5 million. So this is a negative 4 million. When we received our notice in July with that 114 drop per student, combined, our district is down over $6 million of our state aid funding this year compared to last year. So what does that look like, and how does that impact our projected fund balance? We ended last year with a 10.2 million fund balance, 8.29%. We have been a declining fund balance district for the last 4 years, except last year we actually grew our fund balance. We've been striving to do just that. We know you can't continue to whittle away at your fund balance. You've got to make some changes. And we, with a lot of efforts in our budget planning, last year we grew our fund balance, actually about 3 million. Now what you're seeing is we're going down again, and it's because of that $6 million loss in state aid. If we hadn't had such a loss, we would have been on target, I think, to continue to grow our fund balance. So this shows that the current revenue budget versus the current expenditure budget will bring that fund balance down to an estimated 7.2 million, 6% fund balance. I will remind ourselves that I'm very conservative, and even though I've given you a hard and fast negative 6 million with state aid, there's other revenue categories that I still remain conservative on and watch for those to come in, as well as the expenditure budget is still out there in place for the needs for our district, but we're always mindful that just because you have all that budget doesn't mean you just spend it. So we really sharpened our pencils, really looked at our budgets going into this year, reduced in the areas where we could, with the anticipation that we would add back where needed. So I think even if the revenues and expenses come in as presented this evening, we're still going to end in a very healthy projected fund balance because of the efforts that we've done. I would be remiss if I did not mention, as we look at this projected fund balance, even though this is a state aid topic this evening, a lot of what we know too is that there is federal stimulus money that is coming to our district. Our allocation from the second round of stimulus funds is right at $8 million. Now, they're not going to cut me a check for $8 million, and then boom, we turn around and we've grown $5 million in our fund balance. The federal money that's going to be available to us is going to use what we often think as a negative word, and that's supplant. You can, and we can, use this stimulus money to replace and to provide for our school district. Normally, federal funds, you keep everything the way you are, and then the federal funds are on top of as a supplement. But this stimulus money is going to come to us with us having the ability to decide how we want to spend those dollars. They are available to our district through the end of 2023. So we will be very smart in our planning with that federal stimulus money of $8 million. As we all know, if you use it on staffing with one-time money, if you provide staffing with one-time money, then you've got to have a plan to sustain or work through that. So I think with the fact that we've got a couple of years to look at this $8 million, we could make a decision to apply some of it towards our expenditure budget this year, or we can certainly apply it towards our expenditures moving forward. So that's a lot of what we'll be looking at as we're looking at our student count, watching it change. We have received some of our enrollment back that we have lost in the first 9 weeks. Where will we end this year? How many of those families will come back to us next year? That's all what we'll be looking at, and we'll be very mindful as we spend that $8 million. So it could affect and help us grow our fund balance, but then it's also available for, as we use the money for expenditures, that revenue will come in and be an offset. So anyway, I just wanted to address that there is that money out there, and that's why you don't really see it on this slide, because it's not a check they're writing us that just goes into the account. It's coming to us based on how we make our budget decisions with it.
So 2 takeaways from that when it comes to the stimulus. One, where you're looking at student count and student enrollment, incredibly important as we move forward. We need to plan forward with that. The other piece is the stimulus money, when Brenda is talking about it, doesn't just come to us. It is a reimbursable amount, meaning we have to spend it, then apply to get it back. So that's the other piece. So it's not put into the formula, as she said, where we turn that negative into a positive, and it is a reimbursable piece. But the big count, the thing we're working on is student enrollment. We really have to look at that as we forecast forward.
So my item is just information, but I'll answer any other questions.
What's the turnaround time from when we spend it, apply for it, and receive the funds?
It depends. The State Department, certainly the Oklahoma State Department, is notorious for asking for lots of detail to support the claims, which is, it's understandable. So depending on what you're claiming and how satisfied they are with those, with the backup and the supporting documentation that's sent, it can be several months, honestly, before the reimbursement comes to us. Oftentimes that will happen with our federal funds. We're submitting the claims, waiting for them to be approved, waiting for them to send that reimbursement back to us.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Great job.
I believe we have Ms. Albert on Zoom for our
Yes, that is
policy
correct.
change.
Good evening. I'll take a moment here to share my screen. Are you able to see that?
We are. Can you put it in presentation mode?
Absolutely. I wanted to make sure you could see it. So that works. There we go. I was with you back in January to bring some recommended policy revision for Policy 3003. So let me remind you that tonight I will be asking you to take action on this policy revision. The policy revision had to do with changes in language that were proposed for teacher leader effectiveness as a result of House Bill 2957, and that was back in 2016. The reason that you did not hear about these changes until this year was because those changes went into effect for the 2021 school year. And I'm going to move into the two areas of change. One was in the area of professional growth, and it was specified by the State Department that every teacher or administrator, with the exception of the district superintendent, would establish an annual professional growth goal or a professional learning focus, and that would include teachers that would be exempt from being evaluated. And then the second change was in regard to teacher evaluation. The whole purpose of this was to provide additional support to teachers in how long that they were being observed and evaluated by their principals. And so the changes were in the definition of a career teacher and what it would take for a teacher to become a career teacher, and then also that of a probationary teacher and how often both of these groups would be evaluated. Are there any questions? If not, I'd ask that the board take action on these proposed changes this evening.
I move we accept the proposed changes to Board of Education Policy 3003 on professional growth.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Ms. Sasser?
Dirk O'Hara?
Yes.
Dan Snell?
Yes.
Cindy Nasher?
Yes.
Chad Weiss?
Yes.
Linda Sexton?
Yes.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Mr. Milner, can you come educate us on our calendar?
Well, it goes without saying that I am not Ms. Nevels, as outlined on the agenda, so she unfortunately couldn't be here this evening, so I'm going to stand in her place. So, Mr. President, members of the board, and Dr. Millerino, you see item C here for action is the 2022-2023 calendar. And Ms. Nevels last month presented this after approval from the calendar committee, and provided this information to you at the last board meeting. There's been no changes since that conversation, so would be happy to entertain any questions. If none, we would ask for your action tonight on this 2022-2023 calendar.
I move we accept the proposed calendar as presented.
Second?
Any questions or discussion? Ms. Sasser?
Dirk O'Hara?
Yes.
Dan Snell?
Yes.
Cindy Nasher?
Yes.
Chad Weiss?
Yes.
Linda Sexton?
Thank you. Mr. Milner, will you talk about Education Policy 4001, please?
Yes, sir. So again, another item that we would ask for action tonight. Ms. Nevels shared with you this item, Policy 4001, with regards to students, specifically last month. And again, no changes have been made since we last presented the information. You can see there in reference to sexual discrimination and sex discrimination and sexual harassment, and legally mandated changes were made, and really some what we believe will be organization in such a way that be easier for the user to utilize. So if there's no specific questions for 4001, we would ask for you to take action this evening.
I move we accept 4001 as presented.
Second?
Any questions or discussion? Ms. Sasser, please call the roll.
Dirk O'Hara?
Yes.
Dan Snell?
Yes.
Cindy Nasher?
Yes.
Chad Weiss?
Yes.
Linda Sexton?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Milner, policy number 3008, please.
Yes, sir. This item actually is the first time you're seeing this, and so this is for information this evening. And this one specifically, you'll see that backup documentation that you have available. This is a separate policy that specifically addresses employees in the area of discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. And you see here that procedures for reporting, timelines, processes, and processes for appealing resolutions where the previous policy we talked about student-specific. Essentially, this policy leads employees through the process, as you can see, working with our chief HR officer and other designated individuals. 3008 also includes a glossary of terms, definitions, contact information. I think this visual here really kind of helps separate that. You can see what the work that's been done is to separate with student discrimination policy at 4001, the employee discrimination policy at 3008, and then the crossover being policy 4000 with regards to Title IX. So that's the steps that we've been taking last month and this month, and I think, again, serves the user in a lot better way. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but again, just for information, Ms. Nevels will be back next month to ask for your action on this policy.
Oh, sorry, thank you, Mr. Milner. If there's no questions, then we'll go on to the bond issue update.
All right. So, as you know, this is really the anniversary, 2-year anniversary of the passage of our 2019 bond. The voters took action, actually, I think next week would be the actual anniversary of that. That is the passage of the resolution to move forward. As you also know, we don't actually get the money, lease revenue or construction money, until the summer, and then we actually kicked off our first construction project in the summer of 2019. But it seemed only right to begin or to take this opportunity with you tonight to kind of give you a quick overview of what's been going on. As you know, you've processed through the bids and accepted those throughout, but you know, this is kind of what's happened since you passed that or approved that bid with regards to construction. And just to start off there, you can see the construction schedule. I know that's small, and I think it should be in your backup, but really the point of this slide is to give you that look ahead as we are planning forward, as we've completed projects, and then we'll have other projects starting that will be completed by the end of our 3 years on construction. And we believe we're on track for that substantial completion in a year from this summer. Safety and security obviously was a key element of the 2019 bond package. So you can see here as the ACM stands for Access Control Manager, but these are around those security specific areas. As you know, we were looking to do more of the card security systems, really connecting those doorways, removing less need for keys, electrifying the doors so that there's a one-switch lockdown mechanism, being able to coordinate all that through our alarm system so that our schools are more secure and easier use. And you can see there as the percentages go through the progress we're making. Of course, this one will be paid for through the GEO bonds as we get those series, and I know Zach will be here later to discuss some of that, but you will see there that over the course of the bond, we've already made good progress and will continue to do so. Just a comparison to our this time in the bond is comparison to the 2014 bond. You can see there we're actually a little bit further ahead, at 22% complete versus 16% complete at this juncture.
You didn't tell me you were going to share this slide, Justin.
I didn't talk about my predecessor in any format.
So, you know, I appreciate that.
I'll leave that name on
me. Just had to say that out loud. Yeah.
That's okay. Roofing, as you can see there, is been well underway, as you know, as you've approved those bids, and so 98% complete. So really kind of finishing up those major roofing projects, and so good progress there. You'll notice change orders, something that the board was very clear as to your expectation to see that reduction in overall change orders. And so we're at 8 in comparison to 19 about this time last time. As you know, the board was very clear in changing the model through our construction management, which I think has helped alleviate that to this point. I will say one of those 8 was actually money back because, they changed it. So it was a change order money back to us, so that's good. Unfortunately, the other 7 weren't. But again, significant reduction. And those, just to give you some context, those change orders we had on for example, the Harv Collins turf, later found out that soccer, we needed a particular shock pad, so that was after the bid had been accepted, and we went back with the change order for that, which was obviously a needed component for safety. And then a few items have been around roofing, additional roof walkway pads for folks to traverse across the roof safely. And then we peeled back and found some wet insulation, so we had to extend that roofing project a little further than originally thought. So those are the items, but again, continuing to monitor that and as we move forward. Just a few items. We are not too far removed from our ribbon cutting of the new DaVinci facility, and again, so appreciative of what we've been able to do through the support of the community through this bond, and truly a very happy faculty and students that are living in that space now. As you know, we're finishing up the gym, playground area, actually fencing's up there going in right now. We'll be doing the playground, and then they're actually laying the flooring in the gym. So we're on the final touches of that. And again, can't wait to take you through that. We'll move to our elementaries. Washington and Lakeview were our inaugural lake construction projects for elementary. And you can see there some restroom upgrades and then storm shelter addition moving right along. Lakeview trails just a few weeks behind Washington. And you can see there that we had a little bit of delay in the health services area, and so we're pushing on the contractor. We got a little aggressive with demo, and then with the supply chain being interrupted by COVID, we laid there without work for a period of time, but we're moving in the right direction, and hopefully we'll have that wrapped up on the interiors, and then you can see the storm shelter taking place and progressing well. Alcott really have been pretty remarkable at how quick this project has moved along. And so you see there the storm shelter on the left and then an interior view on the right. Obviously, Alcott's a little bit behind Longfellow, and I'll show you Longfellow in just a minute. Irving had the fire lane, so you see at the bottom right is behind Irving, that fire lane, a commitment we made to the city, and so that's being wrapped up with some grading and some fine touches, final touches going on. And then to the left, with, as you may remember in the front parking lot of Irving, that was a parking lots really had no barrier, and so this really creates that better flow for parent pickup and bus drop-off and pickup. I referenced Longfellow being ahead of Alcott, so you can see there brick going up at Longfellow, and then some interior shots there to the right, so really taking shape and moving right along. Some interior shots of Norman High, a continuation of where we stopped in 2014. We picked right up with that wainscot, so well protected there, and then carrying that through the other hallways and in through the bathrooms as well. To the back side of Norman High, you see there the piers going in place, and so should be looking at pouring foundation here soon, if we can catch the right window of weather. And then the Corrado building, if you're traveling up Main, you can see that coming right along, and it really has moved at a pretty good clip, so really excited to see that moving forward. And then at the multi-sports, which is Norman High's annex behind Irving, you can see there with the athletic building really taking shape and some interior views as well. Norman North and Norman High, you mentioned Norman High earlier. Norman North basically would be working on the dirt pad and foundation. We had the opportunity to tour the facility for the storm shelter walls, and that actually, you can see that line to the left. One side is Norman North and the other is Norman High. Those walls will go in place once the foundation's ready, and you'll start seeing it take shape much like what you saw in the picture at Alcott. Of course, just to give you a view of the beams, the significance and how robust those are in the construction. Interiors at Norman High, again, really picking up where we left off in the 2014. Some carpeted areas that were addressed with flooring that's much more durable.
Justin, that's Norman North. I wouldn't want Norman High to think they're getting green.
Did I say Norman High? My apologies, Norman North. And then Norman North, continue here in the next two slides, really taking a look. This is what was considered the old Longfellow building. And so you see the continuity of bringing from, again, the 2014 into the remainder of that building, really having I should have put before and after pictures for the real effect, but I assure you these are really a significant change. And you can see there a continuation of that. So great look. And we'll really reduce the maintenance long term. It's not just about the look, it's the endurance and the maintenance.
And I can sum that up for them. The previous look was just gray. Gray everywhere. So.
Here you have the gen refresh there of the practice gym at Norman North. And then as we turn to the Nancy O'Brien Center, which will include the Professional Development Center going forward, you can see there significant progress is being made and on track to be able to open that up in this summer. So really excited about the transformation that building is taking. So I think you'll be very excited. I look forward to the day we get to walk through that facility. So with that, be happy to answer any questions, but again, wanted to take the opportunity to just kind of give you a high-level view of what's taking shape thus far.
Justin, I'd like to add, over the last week or so, I've had conversations with different community members asking about the bond, and one making comments on just the progress they're seeing from the curb, and so that's hats off to you and your team and the organization. Great job keeping all this stuff moving amidst COVID and everything else. So really, really appreciate that work. And I want to say to those watching and those who are here, if you want to see time-lapse videos and kind of get reminded on what is in the bond resolution, if you go to the Norman Public Schools website /bond, all of that stuff is listed, plus the previous two bond initiatives. So it is all there, once again, on the website, better than it's been done before, with really nice videos and forecasting what's to come. So thank you for your work, thank you for your team's work, and then for those out there, please take a look at the initiative. I think we're way ahead of schedule and delivering, as usual, more than promised.
And we'll post tonight's presentation on there as well.
Any questions for Mr. Milner? Thank you so much, Justin.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mr. Robinson, do we have him on
Zach
Zoom?
should be online.
Be
There
okay?
he is.
Hello, Zach.
Hey guys,
Hey Zach, what's good news?
we got some good news. It's really exciting to hear all of the updates on all the projects. So I was really kind of enjoying that. I'm going to share my screen. Let me see if I know how to do this. Be able to show you guys what I'm looking at here. Can you see that okay?
Do you mind, can you expand it or move the sidebar to the side?
Good question. Did that help at all?
It helped.
Okay. Do you guys have copies of this? I think you do, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. We've got some good news. And most of this is the function of a bond market that is has a very low supply of bonds, and rates are very low. The other side is your credit rating just continues to be something that helps you guys get, firms from all over the country who want your bonds. So we'll start with the 26,540,000 combined purpose bonds, and just on the rating. I will say I have to brag on Brenda. Every year we get on the phone with Moody's, and once again she did a great job of explaining the situation in Oklahoma and what's going on. And they had a outlook on the rating for a couple of years that was a negative outlook, which oftentimes means that it is trending toward a potential downgrade. And I'm really excited to say that they removed the negative outlook, and it was changed to stable, which the next best thing from a rating upgrade is having the outlook improved. And so again, hats off to everything that you're doing as a team to manage this historic situation. And I think that that for us, in the bond industry, was a nice affirmation of those efforts. And so we accepted bids this morning until 10:30, and we actually got 10 bids, which I don't have the records that go all the way back, but I have the last 13 years. It's the most bids that we've ever gotten on a bond issue, and it's also the lowest rate that we've ever had on a bond issue. So I think this is probably the lowest rate you've ever gotten on your GO bond issues, in history. BNY Mellon Capital Markets, which actually they bought the tax exempt series last year, submitted the lowest bid at 0.419%. An extremely close sale with the first four firms, all under 0.5%. Who's buying these bonds? I don't know, and we don't care. But if they'll buy them, then it's an outstanding rate. Obviously, we are getting the most out of your dollars, and it's a really strong result for all of your patrons. So just a great outcome. And again, your the rating, just your profile around the country. A lot of these investors either own your bonds or have tried to own in the past, have a lot of high regard for Norman as a community, and that is all, I think, reflected here. And so we've got 4 action items that I have for the bond issue. The first one is to consider an award to the low bidder, and we would absolutely recommend that you award the 26,540,000 combined purpose bonds to BNY Mellon as the low bidder at an average rate of 0.419. If there are any questions on the bond sale or the process, happy to answer them.
So move.
Second?
Any discussion? Ms. Sasser, please call the roll.
Dirk O'Hara?
Yes.
Dan Snell?
Yes.
Cindy Nasher?
Yes.
Chad Weiss?
Yes.
Linda Sexton?
Yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Robinson?
Okay, item 2 under this issuance is to formally approve the resolution that authorizes their issuance. This is your final action item as a board. And so there are certain outstanding items of the bond issue that were unknown until this morning. And so this fixes and finalizes all the details of the bond issue. It provides for the annual levy. It finalizes all of the documents that were sent out in advance of the sale to investors, and it provides the form of the bonds themselves. And it just, again, this finalizes all of the outstanding items of the bond issue.
I move we adopt the resolution as presented.
Second?
Ms. Sasser, please call the roll.
Dirk O'Hara?
Yes.
Dan Snell?
Yes.
Cindy Nasher?
Yes.
Chad Weiss?
Yes.
Linda Sexton?
Yes.
Back to you, Zach.
Thank you, sir. This is these are the bids that we got on the 2 million for building bonds that are taxable. This is our taxable series, sold at 11 o'clock this morning. It's running concurrently with the exempt series. And so again, a really low rate even on the taxable bonds. So as a a reminder, the difference here is that the interest income to the holders of the bonds is a tax item. And so, generally the yield has to be higher on the taxable bonds to offset the taxes owed on them compared to a tax exempt bond. Having said that, the spread, in between this bond and the prior one is only about 20 basis points, which is really a thin spread, when you look at the taxable yield compared to the tax exempt yield. So again, another really low rate on this series. Robert W. Baird also was the purchaser on this taxable series last year. So you actually have the same two firms who bought your bonds last year. They are the low bids again this year, which I think is kind of interesting. So they like you guys a lot. 4 bids, all, right in there, under 0.8. So, another pretty close sale. Not much here to add, except that, again, this series combined with the other one, as far as an aggregate interest cost, is just really kind of a home run as far as being able to keep our interest costs as low as we can. So we would absolutely make a recommendation that we award this series to Robert W. Baird at an average rate of 0.618071.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Sesser?
Dirk O'Hare?
Yes.
Dan Snell?
Yes.
Cindy Nasher?
Yes.
Chad Weiss?
Yes.
Linda Sexton? Yes.
Also, I move we adopt the resolution providing for the issuance of those bonds.
Second.
Ms. Sesser?
Dirk O'Hare?
Yes.
Dan Snell?
Yes.
Cindy Nasher?
Yes.
Chad Weiss?
Yes.
Linda Sexton? Yes.
Zach, thank you so much. We appreciate all your help.
Great job.
Great job as always.
No, absolutely.
Great job,
Thank you very
Zach.
much, guys.
Look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing
All right,
you in
thank you.
person soon.
Absolutely. That sounds good.
Take
Thank you.
care.
Do we have any new business?
No new business.
Administrative staff reports.
Just brief. I know for all of you out there watching, many people are looking at the weather and what is going on in our world. There are quite a few districts up north canceling school as we speak. Mr. Milner and myself are continuing our conversations with the National Weather Service and looking at things right now. We are in school tomorrow, but do know that throughout the evening we will be in communications and if needed, out bright and early about 4 or 5 in the morning looking at what our streets and sidewalks are like. So if you're out at 4 or 5 in the morning and we're out, wave and we'll pass each other. So just wanted to give that update. More importantly, just want everybody to stay safe and warm this evening.
Any Board of Education reports?
Real quick, I just wanted to say thank you to all the sweet teachers, the kiddos, the cards that I received last month and even this month for our appreciation. It made my heart feel really good, so thank you.
I wanted to mention the Teacher of the Year breakfast. Thank you very much to Sodexo for somehow managing to deliver breakfast all over the district. Ours here that were delivered were very good and hot, and just want to say congratulations to all the Teachers of the Year. Wish we could have all gotten together, but at least we were on a screen and we were able to still celebrate you and all that you do for the district. So thank you, thank you. Dr. Snell?
Yes, I move we go into executive session to discuss the evaluation of the superintendent pursuant to Executive Session Authority 25 Oklahoma 307B1 and 7.
Second?
Ms. Sesser?
Dirk O'Hare?
Yes.
Dan Snell?
Yes.
Cindy Nasher?
Yes.
Chad Weiss?
Yes.
Linda Sexton? Yes.
All right, Cabinet, on your journeys home, be safe, stay warm. Unless you're just going to hang out with Pete waiting on me. And Troy and Chuck and Tarek.
I move we acknowledge we're returning to open session.
Second?
Ms. Sasser, please call the roll.
Dirk O'Hara.
Yes.
Dan Snell.
Yes.
Cindy Nasher.
Yes.
Chad Bice.
Yes.
Linda Sexton.
Yes.
The board convened in executive session to discuss the evaluation of superintendent pursuant to Executive Session Authority 25 Oklahoma Statute 307B1 and 7. The board was joined in executive session by Superintendent Dr. Nick Majorino. No other matters were discussed and no votes were taken while in this closed session. This concludes the minutes of the executive session.
I move we adjourn.
Second?
Ms. Sasser?
Dirk O'Hara.
Yes.
Dan Snell.
Yes.
Cindy Nasher.
Yes.
Chad Bice.
Yes.
Linda Sexton. Yes.